Okay, moving on to adding integers. So still working with positive and negative numbers, but now we are adding them. So this might sound funny, but the song that we use to help us remember these rules is to the tune of Row Your Boat. Okay, so that's what we're going to use to help us remember these rules. All right, so here's your song. Same sign, add, and keep. Different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. Okay? Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. It's really funny how many times that kids are taking a test and I'll see them mouthing these words as they're doing their test. But at least I know that they remember the song. So what this means is if you have a addition problem and both of your numbers have the same sign. So what I mean by that is both of them are positive or both of them are negative. Okay, so they have the same sign. They're the same type of number, not the same number, but the same type of number. Then you're just going to add those numbers together, and whatever sign those two numbers were, your answer is going to be that number. So this is what this means. Same sign, add and keep. You're keeping that same sign. If both of these are negatives, then your answer is going to stay negative. If both of these are positive, then your answer is going to stay positive. Okay? The next line says different sign, subtract. So yes, we're adding integers, but just like when we were dividing fractions, we were actually really multiplying. Same thing here. Even though it's plus, if your signs are different, so if you have like a negative plus a positive, those signs are different, you're actually going to subtract them, okay? Or if you have a negative plus a positive or a positive plus a negative, those signs are different, so you're actually going to subtract. Now, when you get your answer, so you do the subtraction, get your answer, whichever one of those numbers was higher, so like if you had a -8 and a 5, just looking at the number, don't worry about positive or negative, but 8's bigger than 5. Remember, your 8 was negative, so your answer is also going to take the sign of whichever number was higher. Okay? That takes some practice. This is the one that gets people in trouble the most, but we're going to practice with it, and hopefully you'll get the hang of it. So, just some rules to keep in mind as we're adding. Okay. So if you have a positive plus a positive, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative plus a negative, your answer is going to be negative. And both of those are talking about the first line of the song. It says same sign, add and keep. These are the same sign, so your answer is going to keep that same sign. Same thing here. Both of these are same. They're both negatives, so your answer's got to be negative. If you have a positive plus a negative or a negative plus a positive. So you see now your signs are different. You have one positive, one negative, one positive. Those signs are different. This time you can't necessarily say, oh, it has to be a negative answer or it has to be a positive answer. It all depends on which one's higher. So keep the sign of higher number. Okay? But that's just something for you to remember. All right, so let's look at some examples. Okay. So if we have negative 10 plus 6, okay? I like to use different colors so that it helps you kind of visualize the positives and negatives. So here we have a negative, but since this one is a positive, I'm going to keep it in a different color. If you don't have different colors, you can do different shapes. So like this one's a square, this one's a circle, so you can kind of visualize that, hey, these are different. So then if you go back to your song, they're different signs, okay? If they were the same sign, they'd be the same color or they'd be the same shape. But since they are different signs, you have to subtract. So you just do regular subtraction. It doesn't matter which one comes first. You just do regular subtraction. So regular subtraction, you would have the bigger number first. So just don't worry about the negatives and positive. Just look at the numbers. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay? Now I got to figure out if my answer is going to be positive or negative. It says keep the sign of the higher number. Now, once again, we're not looking at positives and negatives. We're just looking at the numbers. So if I'm looking at 10 and I'm looking at 6, which one of those is higher? Which one of those is bigger? Well, 10 is bigger. Okay, now I want to look at the sign. Since 10 is bigger, that's negative, so my answer has to be negative. Okay, like I said, that's going to be the part that gives people the most trouble, so let's keep practicing. 18 plus negative 3. Okay, put those parentheses there. Just first of all, that's how it's shown a lot on test, but also because a lot of times it confuses people if you have a plus sign and a negative side by side. Some people think it's the minus sign, but it just makes it easier to identify if it's inside those parentheses. Parentheses don't change anything. They're not really needed at all. It's just there to kind of help you see, hey, this is a negative 3, not a minus 3. All right, so we've got positive here, but this one right here is a negative. So I gotta use a different color. All right, so once again, since mine are different, I now have to subtract. All right, so 18 minus 3 is gonna give me 15. All right, just looking at the numbers, I don't care if it's positive or negative right now. This one's an 18, this one's a 3. 18 is bigger than 3. All right, 18 is positive, so therefore my answer has to be positive. You keep the sign of the higher number. Whichever one's higher, that answer is going to be that same sign. All right, next one. Negative 5 plus negative 9. Okay, so this time I didn't do any parentheses, but that's fine. It doesn't change anything. All right, so this time, let's see. I've got negative 5. This one's also negative, so I get to use the same color, same shape. All right, so since they're the same, the first line of your song says same sign, add, and keep. So I'm just going to add these like regular. So 5 plus 9 is 14. And then it says and keep. So you're keeping the sign. So if both of these are negative, then your answer also has to be negative. Okay? 6 plus 11. All right, so if you've gotten too sucked into the integer world, then you might get too wrapped up in this problem to really see that it's a problem you've been doing since first grade. But just to show you that it's still the same rules. All right, so this one is positive. This one's positive. Since they are the same sign, I just need to add them together. So 6 plus 11 is 17. Since both of these are positive, my answer also has to be positive. All right, negative 12 plus 1. Okay, let me get my colors. So this one is negative. All right, but this one is positive. So since I've got different colors, I know that these signs are different. So if it's different, you have to subtract. So 12 minus 1 is 11. This one's 12, this one's 1. Is 12 bigger or is 1 bigger? Remember, don't worry that it's negative 12. That doesn't matter at all. I'm just looking at the number. So which one's bigger, 12 or 1? Well, 12 is obviously bigger than 1. And since 12 is bigger, it's negative. My answer has to be negative. Okay. -4 plus -18. Okay, I've got -4 and a -18. So both of my signs are negative. If the signs are the same, you just add them like regular. So 4 plus 18 is 22. If both of those are negative, same sign, add and keep. You're going to keep this sign the same, and it's also going to be negative. Okay, keep going. -11 plus 16. Okay. Once again, these parentheses are just there to help you see that it's a negative. It doesn't change anything. So -11, this 16 is positive. So if you see different signs, one's negative, one's positive, you have to subtract because it says different signs subtract. So 16 minus 11. Once again, it doesn't matter that the 11 comes first in the problem. You just do regular subtraction. Once you've realized that these are different signs, just do regular subtraction. So 16 minus 11 is going to leave me with 5. All right, then I need to figure out which one's bigger. 16 is bigger than 11. So since 16 is positive, my answer has to stay positive. Your answer is going to side with whichever one is bigger. Okay, next. 6 plus -20. Okay, let me get my colors. So 6 is positive, but this one is negative. All right, I'm seeing different colors. I'm seeing different shapes. So that must mean my signs are different. So that means if it's different, I subtract. So 20 minus 16 is 14. All right, I've got 6 chips on this side, but I've got 20 chips on this side. So that tells me that 20 is bigger, but 20 is negative. So therefore, my answer has to be negative. Okay, one more after this. -16 plus 7. Right. We've got a negative, but then we've got a positive. So if my signs are different, I have to subtract. So 16 minus 7 is going to leave me with 9. Okay. Once again, here I've got 16 chips. Here I've got 7 chips. So 16 is a bigger number because it's got more chips. 16 is negative, so then I need to carry that negative over here with my answer. Last one. Let's see. -5 plus 5. Okay. So this is negative. All right, but this one is positive. If the signs are different, it doesn't matter that the numbers are the same. We're not looking at the numbers, we're looking at the signs. This is a negative and a positive. So if the signs are different, you have to subtract. So 5 minus 5 is going to leave you with 0. And since these numbers are the same, you don't leave it as anything. 0 can't be positive or negative. 0 is just 0. So you don't need to put a plus sign in front of this to show me it's positive. You don't need to put a negative sign in front of it to show me it's negative because 0 can't be either one of those. 0 is just 0. All right, so this is definitely something that's going to take some practice. We will keep practicing with this. So please don't get discouraged if you don't know how to do it just after one lesson.